Oh boy, whatever they are bottling here, I don't want any of.
Rub it in, feel the thrill. Diddy's Party Pocket, what's your will? Tiny bottles, naughty night. Twist the cap, it's pure delight.
No. Do not redeem it. As of course, the first opening arguments against Sean P. Diddy Combs have just officially been entered into the court of law that is trying to get him in jail for a very long time, as he is facing some very severe consequences for the freak-off parties that federal prosecutors are arguing are a part of a grand conspiracy along with trafficking along state lines. Will they be able to prove their case here? As of course, we just got the first opening arguments, and oh boy, I mean, we're going to keep it as a family-friendly show as best as we can here, but the details that are coming out, very salacious, very crazy, and they do play into what has been happening in the entertainment industry for quite a while, as there's something really to kind of pinpoint here, specifically when it comes to adultery and just how far some people are willing to go in their debaucherous, deprived behaviors. That really does highlight some kind of sickening behavior and a big kind of learning lesson for a lot of the young people out there to, of course, try to be a little bit more sanctimonious. Try to be a little bit more of innocent mind and heart here, as, oh boy. It's going to be very difficult talking about this, but we're going to talk about it as best as we can here. As we just heard a major bombshell about P. Diddy's former girlfriend, Casey Ventura. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. As, of course, the jury has been selected. Opening statements were just made. They were very interesting, as, of course, the jury has now been set. And it looks like a very diverse of individuals. We have a white man that's 69 years old, another white man, 31 years old, a Hispanic man, 51 years of age, no one under the age of 30, a Hispanic woman, 30 years of age, a black woman, 42, a black man, 41, Asian man, 75, white man, 68, black woman, 43, a black man, 39, and a white man, 69 years. Another juror was a black woman, 74 years of age, as there are also 6 alternatives that are ready and willing to take the jury panel if any of these jurors have any kind of conflict. One of the jurors was talking about how she was watching a comedic video of someone making fun of Diddy and his baby oil. She was not recused, and she still is remaining on the jury. There was a list of at least 190 individuals that were mentioned to the jurors. A lot of these individuals were people like Mike Myers, Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Destiny Child singer Michelle Williams, and a bunch of other celebrities that were, of course, mentioned here to these jurors that are probably going to be the sacrificial lambs in these very unique, interesting court proceedings. Now, Diddy's kids were seen entering the courtroom for the opening statements, and a lot of people are like, whoa, the prosecution really didn't hold back on some of the very salacious details that Diddy's kids had to listen to what their father is accused of doing. As, of course, there's the infamous photo and video, specifically of Diddy running after his then girlfriend, that Diddy's legal team actually addressed in their opening statements, saying that the footage is horrible, dehumanizing, violent, and terrible, but their client, quote, is not charged with assault, saying that this is not real evidence of any kind of trafficking. It's evidence of domestic abuse that happened beyond the statute of limitations, that, of course, he was never held accountable for, as we had the local jurisdiction here in California looking to potentially charge Diddy for this, but they couldn't. Because of the time that passed, this footage was leaked. Diddy's legal team tried to argue that this was faked footage, and that argument was not taken seriously by the judge here, as Diddy's lawyer argued, quote, "You may know of his love of baby oil. Is that a federal crime? No, it is not," as we have other people coming out, including Diddy's former bodyguard, saying that it wasn't just baby oil, it was GHB, and police officers and the feds were looking for this drug that a lot of people accused Diddy of lacing, particularly the baby oil with, and a lot of the mixers with, that allowed them to be in a stupor, that allowed them to forget what happened to them, and the alleged abuse that they faced in the hands of Diddy. Now, Diddy's list of accomplices will also be named and shamed, as prosecutors warned. He didn't act alone here. Now, who's going to be named here? I bet there's going to be one or two celebrity names here that are going to be kind of shocking. They're going to be like, oh no, is it going to be Barack Obama? Another alleged undercover brother like Diddy? No. Is it going to be Clinton, who likes to, get down? No. Probably not, since, of course, this is tried in the Southern District of New York, jurisdiction that, of course, overwhelmingly protects high-level Democratic politicians and operatives from being held accountable for their actions. As, of course, this is the same prosecutorial office that went after Sam Bankman-Fried, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Epstein, all of cases involving high-level Democrats that were never ever mentioned during the criminal court proceedings. Just look at that. Look at that. As, of course, before going on, before sharing more of the salacious details, we wanted to tell you about WeAreChange.shop. It's a really great shop. We got some really great, unique products. The lower you get, the more interesting the site gets. As, of course, we're going to be adding some new products there very soon. Some products are going out of stock very quickly, so get them while supplies last here. But I just finished off my lunch. I went out for a little walk here. It's good after you eat. It's good to go for a walk. I'm going to go to the gym in a little bit. I'm taking my health seriously, and I also supplement. Individuals like Joe Rogan recommend supplementation. One of the supplements that I really like is essential fatty. I just had that with my lunch, and it is something that has made me feel really good. And I like to experiment with this different stuff. I definitely recommend, if you're getting into any kind of supplement, you always take a low dose, then you take the recommended dose, and then you kind of see how your body feels, and you try to track it. I've been super analytical. I've been tracking this stuff for a long time, and I really do like the fish oil, mainly because it comes from small fish. I don't want to eat those big fishes. The big fish is filled with a lot of heavy metals, mercury, all these other horrible stuff in there. I don't want any of that. I want some of the best stuff on the market, and essential fatty definitely is that, in my opinion, and I have seen gains in my health, my blood work that I test every 6 months. And it's something that, of course, you need to be kind of a little bit paranoid, staying on top of, since there's so many poisons and there's so many things all around us that are meant to make us fat, sick, dumb, slow, and fruity. Let's just be real with ourselves. There's endocrine disruptors, testosterone disruptors, and truly, you got to test all that stuff, and you got to be on top of it. And supplementation, to me, is key, mainly because of our food supply being poisoned and just destroyed of any kind of good things that we used to have in them, like minerals. We don't have those minerals. A lot of stuff is deficient in it. Supplementation helps. The right supplementation helps perfectly. Fish oil, good for your heart, good for your brain, and I have noticed the difference personally within myself. Again, do your own research before putting anything into your own body. But check out WeAreChange.shop. We really do work hard towards providing you some good quality services here, and the fish oil is one of the best ones that I personally like, that I personally use. Now, let's get back into some of the latest developments here, because the defense just teased that there is a courtroom encounter between Combs and Casey. They also talked about how Diddy's son put his head down amid the sordid testimony. And there's also allegations of them having freak-offs lasting more than 10 hours. And males, workers of the night, being hired, being directed. Diddy's former bodyguard came out, had some interesting things to say there, too. We're going to be playing that clip in just a little bit, as Diddy's girlfriend, Donna Tran, also made a surprise appearance at the court during the first day of this trial. And with these opening statements, the prosecution argued that Diddy was used coercion and was a part of criminal adult crimes, as Diddy's legal team argued that the government has no place in the men's bedroom, and that he was just a swinger. And he was just, he just liked to get freaky there. and the details of how the prosecution described some of these freak-offs really is shocking, to say the least, for the average viewer out there. As we are also going to get testimony from male workers of the night about some of the salacious details about exactly what was going on here, as we had a security guard that was testifying, that was speaking about people calling for help. Prosecutors also say a woman was lured into relationships, were attacked by defense, saying activities were consensual, part of swinger lifestyles. Combs also faces a mandatory minimum of 15 years if convicted here throughout all of this. Now, there's a lot of people making their arguments. Pearl Davis made a argument saying, why does she look so happy in these pictures? If the defense is arguing that Diddy forced her to do some really weird things, very similar things to what R. Kelly was doing, that R. Kelly was sentenced and found guilty of doing. As we have to remember, R. Kelly was sentenced to 20 years for the crimes that he committed against minors. Crimes that everyone in the industry knew about. Dave Chappelle was even making satirical music videos with R. Kelly, doing these kind of horrendous, horrible acts here, specifically releasing the bowels onto their victims, as we are getting arguments from the prosecution that Diddy paid a male worker of the night to release some of his bowels onto Casey Ventura's. The details get a little bit crazy there. Okay, very crazy. And these are the headlines that people are running with a lot of people saying the music industry is worse than you think. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these types of actions are very similar to what R. Kelly was doing, that R. Kelly went down for. There was videotapes of R. Kelly being with small children that were circulating on the internet when I was in high school. And only up until just a few years ago was he actually held responsible for those kind of very weird, debaucherous types of behaviors, as the security guard really here kind of pinpoints everything. But we have this from the New York Post saying male escorts were paid thousands of dollars to have adult relations with Casey while Diddy watched. Again, more of the kind of debaucherous type of behavior that you see from people who clearly have too much access to adult content and clearly just start doing more and more weirder, stranger, more disgusting type of stuff here. This is why, a lot of people see, especially with the kind of abuse that happens as children, as robbing them of their innocence and bringing them into this kind of deprived adult type of behavior that gets sicker and twisted. The more that people obsess with it, the more that they do with it, the more that they are kind of hijacked by it, just doing more and more kind of sick, dirty stuff in order to, quote, get off here. Now, Gene Deal, the former guard of Sean P. Diddy Combs, just described how even some of the male professional adult stars here that were hired, they were even disgusted. They were even sick with what Diddy was paying them to do.
Nasty boyfriends, before she got to Diddy, did they ever piss in her mouth? I'm waiting.
Gene here made the argument saying this was a very young woman, and I don't think that's what she was into, and that Diddy was forcing her to kind of be into this type of weird, debaucherous stuff.
Any of them. Because this shit is crazy. The shit was so crazy that was going on that the male sex workers was getting sick. They couldn't believe what Diddy had them do. And they're going to testify to it. So now the prosecutor is explaining all the exotic, explicit things that Puff had this girl do. They're explaining that the maids, that he hired a cleaner, the maids knew with the cleaning company to clean up his mess after every session. Oh,
yep, it gets a lot sicker. More details you hear about this. And again, R. Kelly, another major media mogul star in the music industry that was doing all of this stuff, getting away with it, still getting awards, still having people worship him, still having all these celebrities doing remixes and music songs with him. But now, when you listen to some of the horror details, you're like, man, this is pretty crazy. And it looks like a lot of what the prosecution is working on here is the relationship between Diddy and Casey Ventura. It looks like this is when a lot of the details are coming out here. As the details here is that Diddy signed Casey, and a lot of the people here argue that Diddy used to go to them, whether they were guys or girls, and say, listen, if you get down with me, if you get down in these 10-hour baby oil freak off crazy parties that adult performers are even like shocked about, we'll give you a deal. We'll sign you. We'll make you famous. And there's one witness coming forward saying, did he try to get me to did he try to get me to do all this weird stuff? And then he said, if I did, he would of course be the kingmaker, making me into the next celebrity, into the next musician that the music industry worships, promotes, as the music industry is one small club. And a lot of those people in that club, in order to get famous, have to do some weird stuff. A lot of this actually goes down the rabbit hole towards demonic devil worship. And that's why you see a lot of people in the music industry usually saying about how they had to sell their soul to the devil. It's not a coincidence. I should probably have that clip queued up. I'm going to have it queued up once more details come out about this case, because I'm going to be covering this case for a while. Subscribe, click the notification button, because we're going to be getting more salacious details. There's going to be a celebrity that's going to be, of course, implicated in all of this. It could be Kanye, who, again, also shared the same kind of weird predilections of paying men to be with their women, a form of cuckoldry, which Kanye knowingly was into. Diddy's into that stuff. R. Kelly's into that stuff. Why is that? Well, once you have all the power, once you have all the money, once you have all the influence, you start doing some weird stuff. And then that leads down the rabbit hole towards children, robbing them of innocence here. But this is what the Daily Mail writes here. Sean Diddy Combs faces charges of trafficking in Manhattan federal court. His relationship with the singer Casey is at the center of the horrific allegations. The music mogul's staggering downfall began when Casey, real name Cassandra Ventura, filed a bombshell lawsuit in 2023 detailing terrifying claims of abuse and violence. The lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount just a day after it was filed, but it was too late for Diddy's reputation, and the rapper was then hit with dozens of lawsuits, including similar claims. Diddy was then charged last year with racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking, fraud, coercion, and transportation to engage in adult hired content in New York. He pleaded not guilty. The rapper and Casey dated from 2007 until 2018 after meeting in 2005 when she was just 19 years of age, and he was already an estimated 39-year-old music superstar. A year after they met, Casey released her self-titled debut album on Diddy's record label, Bad Boy Records. Casey alleged in court that Diddy brought her into his abstemious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle not long after she met him and signed to the label. Now, there's going to be some people being like, oh, she just wanted to be famous, and she did what she did to get famous, and this is what Diddy's team is going to be arguing probably too, that a lot of this was consensual. A lot of this was being done as a way to climb the ladder of success here, and all of this was done in a way where, of course, the two were both violent towards each other, and that there was back and forth arguments between the two. They finally broke up in 2018. And then in 2019, Casey marries her personal trainer. 2023, Casey files the lawsuit. And 2004, March of last year, Diddy's home was raided. And then shortly afterwards, the assault video comes out there to the general public. And it looks like she's going to be the main kind of component to a lot of this. It's going to be interesting to see if the paperwork she signed in order to of course, close the personal lawsuit against Diddy that they settled out of court, if that's going to be kind of applicable here or not here. But again, lots of conspiracy theories swirling on both sides. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're still getting a lot of the details coming forward here, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get more kind of sickening details, if we get more celebrities, and if we get more very surprising kind of details around these particular cases. This right now is shaping up to be an extremely eye-opening court case for the vast majority of people that don't partake in this type of really crazy, debaucherous type of behavior. I expect to be surprised more. Guard your heart and your mind. Get some fish oil. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange. We're going to be covering this story as it develops, all here on this independent media organization. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more.